right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants event. My name is Joe Gorowski, and I'll be your host for today. Today has been a really busy day in May. This is our fourth live event today. So we've been bouncing around the world a little bit and hosting some really cool events. And sometimes it just works out that we have a great series of events that all come on the same day. So if it's your first time joining us, welcome to Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. We're all about bringing science, exploration, adventure, and conservation live into classrooms all over the world. And today we have a really good event. We are going to take a little trip to Hawaii. We have Hannah Osland joining us. So she is a graduate student in the environmental sciences at Alaska Pacific University. So currently she's spending most of her time in Hawaii, and she is studying the Hawaiian Bobtail Squid. So it's really small squid, and it is endemic, which means it's found nowhere else in the world other than the Hawaiian Islands. And the best part of Hannah's job is she gets to go out into the field and search for these bobtail squid. So I think we'll learn a little bit about that today. So she's really focusing on the variations between these groups of animals. And by learning about that, we can understand better the biodiversity of our ocean. So let's head to Hawaii. Let's bring Hannah in with us right now. Hey, Hannah, how are you?
Hi, Joe. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Well, it's great to have you with us. We've got classrooms in Canada and the US joining us live today. More classrooms will tune into the event later. And I know that it's early for you, 6 hours earlier here than me here in Toronto. So thank you so much for being up and hanging out with us today.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited. Yeah.
All right, Hannah, take us into your world. Let's get to know you, and let's get to know the Hawaiian Bobtail Squid.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, can everyone see okay?
Yeah, it's just loading up. That looks perfect. Looks good,
Okay.
Hannah.
Okay, great. Hey everyone. So my name is Hannah Osland, and as Joe said, I'm a graduate student, actually at Alaska Pacific University, but I'm doing most of my stuff in Hawaii, and I actually just graduated. But my stuff is all about this really cool animal called the Hawaiian Bobtail Squid. So I'll start by telling you a little bit how I got to come to the Hawaiian Bobtail Squid world, and then tell you about this really cool animal. So I grew up in Kansas in the middle of the United States, so very far away from any oceans or large bodies of water. But I still was always interested in the ocean and always was very curious about marine animals. Even though I didn't get to see them in my life, I loved watching nature documentaries with them in. And I liked watching shows that had science in them, like The Big Bang Theory. So when I got to college, I knew that I liked science and I knew that I liked animals. And it was there that I got to really have some little research experiences that kind of confirmed that that's the kind of world or career I want to take in my life. So I got to spend a summer in Massachusetts learning about fish behavior. Here's me holding a little puffer fish in Massachusetts on the left. And then I got to study abroad in Australia. So here's a picture of me snorkeling on the right in Australia. But these little research experiences on the way definitely drove me towards marine biology. And then when I graduated college, I got a job in Hawaii where I started working with the Hawaiian Bobtail Squid, which I quickly fell in love with. And then, went to graduate school for it. And I'm starting a different program in the fall. But yeah, that's kind of my journey to the Hawaiian Bobtail Squid. But now getting to the cool part. So what exactly is a Hawaiian Bobtail Squid? So a Hawaiian Bobtail Squid, it's a type of cephalopod. So if you don't know about cephalopods, it's a group of animals that includes octopus, cuttlefish, squid, and nautilus. They're pretty well known for being smart animals, and they're really good at changing their color displays. So they're really good at changing color fast or blending in with their environment or maybe mimicking other animals or other even objects. So on the left here, this is a coconut octopus, and they are known for being able to very well look like a floating coconut in the ocean, so they can change their kind of body shape and color and kind of camouflage into their environment. And then on the right here, this is a flamboyant cuttlefish. It's one of my favorite cephalopods. It's just a couple inches long and it lives in the Pacific Ocean, but it's just really pretty and fun to watch swim around. But a Hawaiian Bobtail squid, so it's in that same group of animals. It's a bobtail squid species, and as Joe mentioned, it's endemic to the Hawaiian Islands, so it's only found in Hawaii. There's other bobtail squid species in other areas, but this species is only in Hawaii. As he said again, they're pretty small. So on the left here, this left photo, these are some Hawaiian Bobtail squid hatchlings. They are only a couple weeks old, and they were in our lab, and you can see they're just kind of sitting on the sand at the bottom of their tank, but they're just a couple millimeters in length, so they're pretty tiny. And then in the middle here, this is an adult Hawaiian Bobtail squid. You can kind of see, so this is my hand in the background. So it gets to a couple inches in length when they're full adults, but they're fairly small cephalopods. They are nocturnal, so they spend their nights swimming around, hunting, mating. They primarily eat small little worms or polychaete worms or little crustaceans. But then during the day, they have this really cute behavior where they bury in the sand at the bottom of the ocean. So they kind of shove their butt into the sand and slowly cover themselves with sand granules to hide from predators during the day. And then, like other cephalopods, they are able to change their color display. They are usually displaying this kind of nice reddish brown color, but they are able to change their display. So this is an adult who was displaying this kind of nice blue color and kind of tucking into the sand, but they are able to change their color some. So as I said, they're only found in Hawaii. So here is a map of Hawaii. This is North America, the United States and Canada, and then the Hawaiian Islands out in the left in the Pacific. And then this is a zoomed in photo of the 8 major Hawaiian islands. So they've been spotted around Hawaii, so around all these islands, but we're not completely sure exactly the specifics of where they're all located. We know that they like coastal shallow areas, but we're not completely sure exactly how deep they like to go or the specific ranges of their habitat. So besides just being really cool for being a cephalopod in Hawaii, why are the Hawaiian Bobtail squid unique? So they have been studied pretty in depth for 30 or 40 years because they have this really interesting symbiosis with a marine bacteria called Vibrio fischeri. So symbiosis, it's a close relationship between 2 organisms where at least one partner benefits. So in some scenarios where only one partner benefits, the other one is losing out. So that can be like a parasite. But in some symbioses, both partners in this relationship benefit. And that's what's happening here. So in this scenario, right as the Hawaiian Bobtail squid hatches in the wild, it's colonized by this marine bacteria that's in the surrounding seawater. And once the bacteria colonize the body, and once they get up to a certain level in their body, they are able to produce light. So this bacterial produced light in the Hawaiian Bobtail squid allows the bobtail squid to produce light. And so they're nocturnal, if we remember, and they're not just this light that they're producing. It doesn't just make them glow in the water. So at night, you'll see these glowing squid around, but it actually allows them to counter-illuminate. So counter-illumination, it's a pretty common strategy for marine animals. It's all about using downwelling light or moonlight or starlight on a given night to camouflage. So without counter-illumination, if you are a predator swimming around in the ocean in Hawaii and you're looking up trying to find a tasty bobtail squid to eat, without counter-illumination, you're usually going to be able to see kind of the silhouette or the shadow of the Hawaiian bobtail squid. But because the bobtail squid has this great bacterial partner that allows it to counter-illuminate, now that when you're a predator swimming around looking up, The bobtail squid is producing light from its belly or ventral side that matches the amount of moonlight or starlight on a given night, so that if you are that predator looking up, you're not going to be able to see the bobtail squid. So when the bobtail squid produces light that matches the light coming from above, its silhouette is completely disrupted, or you won't be able to see it. So the bobtail squid gets this great anti-predator defense ability from its relationship with this bacteria that allows it to avoid predators. It's a great hunting strategy. So this bacterial partner is really beneficial for this animal host. And in turn, the bacteria, Vibrio fischeri, they get to live inside the bobtail squid, and the bobtail squid gives it very nutrients. So the bacteria get this nice home to live in, and the animal gets this great predator defense. So it's really it really is this animal bacteria really working together to come up with these innovative strategies. So here's another image to try to help visualize what this counter-illumination actually looks like. So in the middle here, we have the Hawaiian Bobtail Squid, and we can see it's producing light kind of from its belly side. And then here's an example of what the moonlight or starlight could look like on a given night. And then here's some of its predators. So we have the Hawaiian monk seal, we have a lizardfish. So when this light is coming out, we see it matches the light coming from here. So this lizardfish is not going to be able to see the Hawaiian Bobtail Squid very well. And then now we'll get into, here it shows there's this actual organ called the light organ that's dedicated to housing that bacteria or having that bacteria in the bobtail squid, which I'll go into a little bit. And then here, those bacteria in here, and just showing that they live inside the bobtail squid's body. So the bobtail squid has an entire organ that's dedicated to housing the Vibrio fischeri, or the bacteria in their bodies. So when the bacteria colonizes the animal host, they very specifically colonize this one organ. So here is a hatchling, and then right in the red box here, this is their light organ. So they're born with this organ that allows them to host or carry around this bacteria. And then on the right here, this is a dissected adult Hawaiian Bobtail squid. So these are the eyes or the head, these are the arms, and then this is the main part of their body, and then the light organ is right in the middle here. And we can see it's pretty big, and its main function is to interact with the bacteria. So it's a great example of how influential and important this symbiosis or relationship is to the host. They have an entire organ that's dedicated to dealing with bacteria. So it's a very important relationship in the Hawaiian Bobtail squid's life. So the symbiosis is super cool just for knowing how animal and bacteria interact, but it's been really well studied in the last 30 to 40 years because it's this great simple model of general animal bacteria relationships. So model systems can be really helpful in science for learning about basic concepts in a simple system, and then we can take those concepts and apply it to more complicated systems. So in this scenario, we're learning more and more about how important human beneficial bacteria are to our health. And we have hundreds of bacterial partners that help us digest food and do other things, but it can be pretty difficult to study human beneficial bacteria in our bodies because there's so many variables that are going on. So there's so many bacteria and so many things happening. It can be difficult to isolate exactly what's happening between our animal host cells and one bacteria. But in the Hawaiian Bobtail squid scenario, we have one animal host cell in the light organ and one bacterial symbiont cell. So you're really able to isolate or pinpoint exactly how these two partners are working together that you're not able to do in other systems. So this is really helpful because we can learn about general concepts of how animal and bacteria work together, and then we can apply it to more complicated systems. So that's that's the primary reason that Hawaiian Bobtail Squid and their partners have been studied so in depth. NASA has even started using Hawaiian Bobtail Squid as a model system. So about 3 years ago now, in June 2021, NASA sent up Hawaiian Bobtail Squid spatchlings to the International Space Station. So this is how NASA sent the Bobtail Squid up. This is apparently their space aquarium, as they call it. And then these tiny little things here, these are each little Hawaiian Bobtail Squid hatchlings, so little babies that are up in the International Space Station. And NASA, this is really helpful for NASA because NASA is interested in how space travel affects humans and our relationships with our bacteria or the human microbiome. They want to figure out how long-term space travel affects that, but that can be difficult to study. So they are using Hawaiian Bobtail Squid as a model system. So they sent up Hawaiian Bobtail Squid hatchlings and are trying to figure out how space and microgravity affects how the animal bacteria work together. And then by figuring out how these two partners work together, hopefully it'll give us an idea of how space travel might affect human relationships with our beneficial bacteria. So that's this great model system that not only gives us information about this really cool species, the Hawaiian Bobtail Squid, but also is just great for understanding broader science and biology. So there's been a lot of research on the Hawaiian Bobtail Squid, and my project right now is just a tiny sliver of it. And I'm interested in understanding how Hawaiian Bobtail Squid are different around the Hawaiian Islands. So originally, it was assumed that Hawaiian Bobtail Squid they look similar and they're genetically similar all around Hawaii. But now it seems like they might be a little bit different based on where they are. So that's what I was interested in looking into. And to do that, I'm looking at how bobtail squid look differently, so their morphology around different areas. And then I'm also looking at the genetic side to see really how unique these animals are based on where I collect them. But the best part of my project is being able to actually collect the Hawaiian Bobtail Squid. So to collect Hawaiian Bobtail Squid, this is a photo of my dad in one of my collecting sites called Maunalua Bay. And if you remember, they're nocturnal. So to collect them, we actually have to go out at night when it's low tide and then in good weather. As I think I mentioned, we know that they like shallow coastal areas. So you actually don't even have to go diving or snorkeling to collect them. You can just find really shallow areas. So here's my dad. He's waded out into the ocean, and if you can kind of see, he's not in deep water. He's basically just in ankle, mid-calf deep water. And that's all the depth of water you need to find them. But we will go out with high-powered flashlights and hand nets and wander around in these nice areas at night. And Hawaiian Bobtail Squid can be either swimming in the water, maybe they're sitting on the ocean floor. But we will see them and then we'll get them in our nets. So it's actually a fairly calm and simple process compared to collecting some other animals. They're not found everywhere, but in the places where we know they are, they're fairly easy to spot and collect, which is really special and makes it easier to study them. And then here are some other photos of me collecting Hawaiian Bobtail Squid. So here's me in that same bay, Maunalua Bay. I have my hand net and then my flashlight, and I've just caught Hawaiian Bobtail Squid. So here is the actual photo of the Hawaiian Bobtail Squid in my net. So we can see they kind of have some nice colors going on, but very pretty. So this is definitely one of the best parts of my project and what I'm doing now. It feels really special to be able to be in Hawaii and be able to be in the water and look for these animals that not that many people know about or are interested in collecting, and just be able to spend my nights walking around beautiful places. So it's definitely a highlight of my project right now. So in the future, so my project right now that I'm just finishing up, I'm taking what the animals look like in different areas and then what their genetics are. And then by integrating these things together or combining them, hopefully we'll be able to have a better idea of exactly how Hawaiian Bobtail squid are different around Hawaii, see if they look different in different places, see if there's subspecies or something like that. But then in the fall, I'm starting a different graduate program, but I'm still going to be in marine biology and symbiosis. So I'm very excited about that. And then here's one other picture of Hawaiian Bobtail squid. So yeah, thank you so much to my funding agencies, Alaska Space Grant and the Explorers Club, and my professor in my lab, and to Joe and Explorers Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. So that let me talk to you guys today about this really cool animal, and then everyone who's helped me collect Hawaiian Bobtail squid.
All right.
So that is all I have, and happy to take questions.
That's awesome, Hannah. Thank you so much for such a great presentation. I think it's really interesting how studying something as small as a tiny little squid and looking at that symbiotic relationship they have with the bacteria can help us learn more about our bodies and how we relate to bacteria. And it's always fascinating to think about those relationships, how they could have come to form in the first place and how both are benefiting from it. It's really, really cool. We live in such an amazing world, and those kind of relationships between species are pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And just how, how it's working together and how this animal and this bacteria, how helpful they can be to each other. And the same for humans, and how important our microbiomes and relationships can be with our bacteria. But yeah, it's very cool.
Absolutely. I think it may come to a surprise to many students tuning in, but we are inside and out, just covered in bacteria. And for the most part, good bacteria that helps us in many different ways. But we are definitely outnumbered on our bodies, both inside and out. Very, very cool. Okay, well, let's play some Kahoot. So, Hannah, while you were presenting, I pulled together a few questions, a little quiz for some of the students who are tuning in. So just bear with me for 1 second here while I share my screen. Make sure I pick the right screen. There it is. So, we've already got a few students in here, including Captain Squid, so that's good. These are auto-generated names of classrooms, sometimes individual students. And it just so happens we already have a squid in here, so that's great. If you are joining us in the classroom, you can go to kahoot.it. It's going to ask you for a PIN number. You want to put in 6761860. If you have something at your seat, some students might have a tablet or a Chromebook, you can enter on your own. Otherwise, your teacher could pop this up at the front of the classroom. You could shout out your answers to him or her. Or if you can't get connected, just shout out the answer and see how you do. If you're joining at home, we always have homeschool students. You can scan that QR code with your phone or a tablet and it will bring you in. I pulled together 4 questions, a couple multiple choice, a couple true and false. If you get the right answer, you're getting some points. If you get the right answer and you do it really quickly, you get even more points. If you put in the fast answer, or the wrong answer quicker than anybody else, you still get nothing. We got to make sure we have that correct answer. And the quicker it's in, the more points there will be. All right. Hannah, while we're waiting to see if a couple more classes or students pop in, when was the last time you were in the field and collecting?
I went for my project I'm doing right now. I did most of the field work last spring and summer. But I have a lot of friends and family here that like to go see them. So I went out in January and I was able to wander around. But I'm definitely in a point right now of being less in the field and more working on my stuff. But
all right. Well, that's important. Even though being in the field, we hear from many scientists, is their favorite part. There is work to be done in the lab, at the computer, writing reports and papers. You can't always be all in the field. There is that other side of things too. All right. Well, let's get into this action. Let's start the Kahoot and let's see who comes in those top 3 podium spots for today. As a reminder, about 20 seconds for each question to get your answers in. And here we go. So true or false? The Hawaiian Bobtail Squid is found all over the Pacific Ocean. Is that true? Or is that false? That the Hawaiian squid is just found all over that great big old Pacific Ocean. You got a few more seconds to get your answer locked in. Okay, good job, crew. That is absolutely false. It is endemic, which means it's really found in a small area, in this case around the Hawaiian Islands. If something is found kind of more spread around the world, we call it a pandemic species. So it's spread out over the world, but the Hawaiian bobtail squid is definitely endemic. Okay, let's check out our leaderboard. That puts the gentle cheetah in first place, but we got a long way to go. So our next question, an adult bobtail squid is about blank long. So is it about an inch? Is it about 2 inches, 5 inches, or, oops, I put Y inches. I think that was supposed to be a 7. So 1 inch, 2 inches, 5 inches, or 7 inches, not Y inches. That was definitely error on my part. All right. Let's see. Most classes went with 2 inches. Good job, crew. Let's take a look at our leaderboard. That puts the Arctic ibex in first place. But let's see what happens with our next question. Another true and false coming your way. Hawaiian bobtail squid are nocturnal, so meaning they only come out at night. Is that true or is that false? That the Hawaiian bobtail squid is nocturnal. Okay, that is true. Most of our students went with true. That's absolutely correct. Let us go to our leaderboard. Well, the Arctic ibex is holding that spot, but we have one more question to go. This is what it's all going to come down to. Here we go. One more multiple choice. Hawaiian bobtail squid have a relationship with bacteria that helps them. Is it catch food? Is it swim faster? Is it camouflage from predators? Or is it see where they are going? So what is that symbiotic relationship? How does it help our Hawaiian bobtail squid? Ooh, good job, crew. Absolutely.
Wow.
Camouflage from predators. I'm sure it'd be really cool if they could swim faster or see a little better underwater, but absolutely it provides that counter shading that helps them blend in and be less visible to predators. Okay, let's look at our leaderboard. Here we go. Podium time. Third place we have the Arctic ibex. Oh, that means we have a new person in first place. In second place, the magic swan. And holding down that top spot, sweeping in on the last question, the social badger. All right, very cool. Great auto-generated animal names and really great to have the students compete with us and test their knowledge. You guys did great today. Okay, I'm going to stop that screen share and we're going to switch gears into a little Q&A action. So if you are tuning in via YouTube, use that chat sidebar, send your question in via the chat, and we will work some of those questions in. We have a few classrooms joining us backstage as well, so I am going to visit those classrooms as well, and we'll get those questions for us. So Hannah, here we go. Ready for a little Q&A action?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We have to spend a little bit of time with Mrs. Fisher's crew, so let me bring them in from backstage. Here they are. Hey, Mrs. Fisher's class, how you doing?
Oh, hi there. We have Julian with a question.
What's the rarest squid?
What is the rarest squid? That's a fun question. You know what? I'm not sure. Giant squid, they're pretty, I don't think we've seen many giant squid. I think it could be a giant squid, but I'm not sure. I bet there's a bunch of little squid that we don't even know about yet. So, but that's a very good question.
Yeah, I think that if you have some time, look up the giant squid. We've only really found a few of them. I think there's a few samples that have maybe washed up on shore. And then we know they're around because we see the marks on sperm whales who dive really, really deep to try and hunt them and find them in those deep waters. So definitely foreseen by humans. I would say that was a very good one, Hannah. Very good selection. All right, Mrs. Fisher's crew, you got another question there before we jump to another group?
Yeah, we do. We have Are bobtail squids similar? Come here, Sean, really quick. Sorry, we weren't ready for two.
That's
All
okay.
right, go ahead.
Are bobtail squids similar to regular squids?
That's actually a very good question. So it's the name bobtail squid makes you think that they're kind of just regular squid, but bobtail squid, they're kind of more similar to cuttlefish in a lot of ways. So they're kind of somewhere in between other squids and cuttlefish. So I kind of showed a picture of a flamboyant cuttlefish earlier, and they're kind of somewhere in the middle. But bobtail squids, they definitely are, they have some unique things that make them a little bit different than most other squid.
Okay. Very good questions from Mrs. Fisher's class. I will pop back in one more time at the end. So if you do have a couple more questions, maybe one or two, we will have those for you or from you. I'm really glad you mentioned flamboyant cuttlefish because they are such a cool species of cuttlefish. And if you have some time, classes, to go on YouTube and look up the flamboyant cuttlefish, the patterns and the way they can change their colors is just wild. So do take some time and check that out.
And they have a really fun behavior where they almost gallop on the ocean floor. So if you do find some videos, try to find them galloping. It's super fun to watch.
All right. Miss Canalte's fifth graders are hanging out with us. If you're able to unmute, let's see if we can steal a couple questions. There they are.
It's Mr. Steltman now.
Gotcha.
All right,
Mr. Steltman.
Natalie, come ask your question. We got no camera.
That's okay. We can hear you loud and clear.
All right, go for it, Nat.
Are the bobtail squid endangered?
That's a good question too. So we don't know that much about exactly how many they are or where they are. So we do not think that they're endangered, but we'd probably have to do a lot more research to find out for sure. But there's no reason to think that they're endangered.
Phew.
That is good news. All right, grade fives, you got another one on deck for us?
Yeah, Riley.
What made you want to learn about bobtail squid?
Yeah, fun question. I got really into octopus and cuttlefish in college. I thought they were really cool. So then after college, when I was looking for a job, I found this job that came up working with Hawaiian Bobtail Squid. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty close to what I like. So I joined the lab, and yeah, I really like them. So it was kind of, I like cephalopods, and then I got this opportunity to work with Hawaiian Bobtail Squid, and they're very cool. I like them very much.
All right. So we're going to swing back to some of our backstage classes, maybe more towards the end. I'm going to grab a couple questions here from YouTube for you, Hannah. And one viewer is curious about if they can produce ink. Is that a form of defense that they have?
Yeah. Yes. Like other cephalopods, Hawaiian Bobtail Squid can produce ink. So we have them in the lab. We have some adults in the lab, and if you sneak up on them or mess with them too much, they will ink at you. So yeah, that's a great anti-predator defense that they have is shooting ink at you.
All right, very, very cool. Let's grab another one here from the chat. You mentioned that they like worms, so this student would like to know a little bit more about what it is that they're eating. Yeah.
So good question. So we think that they eat mostly, they're called polycate worms. They're really just tiny marine worms. But yeah, it seems like they eat those, which I don't think we can't really even see them with their eyes. So they're just really tiny worms that live in the ocean. And then it looks like they also eat some tiny crustaceans, but they're mostly eating pretty tiny things in the ocean.
Okay. Another observation is that their eyes are really big. So do they have pretty good vision?
Yes, their eyes are really big. That's a good catch from some of the photos I showed you. No one's ever looked into specifically how good their vision is, but yeah, by how big their eyes are and how complex they are, you would have to think that they see pretty well. Also, it's really cool that so when the bacteria are in their light organ and the bacteria, they're actually able to adjust how much light they're putting off. So And so when the bacteria, they go in the light organ and the animal knows, okay, I've got bacteria in my light organ, then the animal communicates with their eyes and they try to figure out how much exactly moonlight is on a given night. And they're able to coordinate that with the bacteria in the light organ. So the eyes are actually this really important part of the symbiosis too, because they are helping to figure out exactly how much light they should produce at a certain time. So lots of lots of communication happening and cool relationships.
Yeah, that's wild. That's incredible that, even though it is a separate species that is there, but there's still some coordination to kind of adjust those light levels depending on what's going on any given night. That's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So good catch.
All right, let's snag a couple more in-class questions. Mrs. Fisher's crew, if you have another one or two for us, let's steal you for a second.
We did. We had a question about squids and if they are like dangerous or if they ever hurt humans.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know that many scenarios where they have hurt humans. I know with giant squid, there's a lot of tales about they could be dangerous, but I don't think that squid are known for hurting humans, or there's been a lot of evidence to show that they are very harmful to humans. And definitely the Hawaiian Bobtail squid has never hurt anyone.
Yeah, I know I think it's the Humboldt squid who can be kind of aggressive, but they're more found they're bigger. And they're more found kind of in open water. They can be a little bit aggressive in the water, but those the little bobtail squid, they look pretty darn cute and pretty small. One that the cuttlefish, you mentioned cuttlefish, so they're not squid, they're a little bit different. But I know when I lived in Australia that there were stories that they're super curious. And that sometimes they reach over and grab the regulator from a diver's mouth. And it's not that they were trying to hurt the diver. It's just, it was shiny and, they're smart and they're curious and they were kind of wondering what that was all about. Okay, very cool. Miss Fisher's crew, any more questions or should we jump to our grade 5s?
I think go ahead to the 5 and we'll come back, I guess.
Okay, we'll see if we can squeeze one more in at the end. Mr. Steltman's crew, if you guys have another question or two for us, we're ready.
Yeah, we've got one more. Williams is just on his way.
Perfect.
What is the most poisonous squid in the world?
What is the most poisonous squid in the world? That's another fun question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the most poisonous squid. I know that there's some cuttlefish that I think have some poisonous aspects to them, but I'm not sure of any squid that are poisonous. But I just know that the Hawaiian Bobtail squid is not poisonous.
Yeah, I did a very, very quick, handy Google search and nothing much came up. There is something called the striped pajama squid. And that is small again, only about 7 to 8 centimeters. So not very big. But it says that they do have some venom. And then I can think offhand of the blue octopus, the blue ringed octopus. Again, super, super small in Australia, but they can pack a real punch and really hurt a human, if not potentially kill a human, but they're not doing that on purpose. It would be more like if you stepped on one or something. They're not looking for toes or hands to bite in the water. But very, very good question. I think when you're small, that's a pretty good advantage to have for either self-defense or to kind of catch your prey, to have that little bit of venom that you can use. Very cool, Mr. Steltman's crew. Online here, Hannah, I've got one more for you, and this is a good one about field work. So do you have any stories from the field, funny things that happened, or maybe things didn't go as planned when you were out trying to catch some bobtail squid?
Definitely a lot of unplanned things. It's in field work, you never know when the animals are going to be in certain places. So, maybe 10 times, 15 times I've gone out and just haven't found them, which is never fun to never find them. But you just have to keep on trying and keep on going. And then there's some pretty cool animals in Hawaii that come out only at night, which is pretty special to be able to see. So there's some actually in one of the places where there's Hawaiian Bobtail Squid, it's a really good nursery area for hammerhead sharks.
Ooh.
So one night we saw there was a baby hammerhead that swum by, which gives you a little but I mean, really cool to see. And then there's been some stingrays that we'll see. A lot of really cool fish and boxfish. And there's actually a lot of eels in some of the places, which can be really pretty, but also keep my distance. So I think the mainly things is whether or not how many bobtails you're going to get, and then just the really cool other animals that you can see when you go out at night.
All right. Well, we'll give Mrs. Fisher's crew a chance if they want to have last question, but no big deal if you don't have another one. We'll get a good goodbye and thank you in that case. But if you do have one more, we'll steal that question.
We were wondering a little bit more about its shadow. We heard they could like hide their shadow.
Yeah. So, good question. So with the counter illumination that I was talking about, so if you are a predator swimming on the ocean floor and you are looking up at night and you're trying to find a bobtail squid to eat, usually you would kind of see their shadow. So if you're looking up, you would usually see their shadow. But with these counter illumination, with this ability that they can produce light with the help of their bacteria, the bobtail squid is also able to produce light outside of their belly or bottom side. And that amount of light matches the amount of moonlight or light that's coming down from the bottom of the ocean. So when you're producing light that matches the light that's coming from above you, then that predator below you is not going to see your shadow. So it's all about, this light, the fact that they can glow is all about trying to get rid of their shadow so that they won't be seen. Hopefully that answered the question.
All right. Well, Mrs. Fisher's crew, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Let's get a big goodbye and thank you from you guys before we sign out. Really cool to see you guys today.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
To Mr. Beltman's crew, a big shout out to the classes on YouTube for sending in those great questions and for playing Kahoot with us today. Hannah, thank you for letting us steal some of your morning, starting your day with us, and introducing us to the really, really cool Hawaiian Bobtail Squid. They may be really tiny, but they get up to a lot of really cool things, including that relationship with bacteria, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening and learning about this really cool animal. So, yeah, thank you so much.
All right. We're going to sign off for today. We hope to see classrooms later on in May. We've got lots going on as per usual. Thanks, everyone.